Hey, everybody, this is Rich Sparks, Associate Broker with Keller Williams Realty. We're going to get started here in a minute. We've got a ton of stuff to go over. We're going to be looking at what's going on in the market, where's these interest rates going, and how it impacts you. So stick around. We're going to give folks a few moments to get on board here. By the way, we're using a ton of new technology, so stick around. You might see me really mess up. Who knows? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rich Sparks, associate broker, Keller Williams Realty. Hey, today we are going to be going over a ton of information. Basically, what's going on in the real estate market. I don't know if anyone's been looking at the headlines or if you've been watching YouTube, things of that nature. It is amazing the stuff you hear. And today we're going to be looking at basically straight facts. We're going to look at historical data to try to figure out what's going to happen with this real estate market with rising interest rates and everything going on. So let's get started here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comment box. We're happy to do it. Also, we're going to have an opportunity for you to call in and ask a question if you like to. So this is our first live broadcast, and hopefully everything goes well. If not, that's okay too. So let's get started here. All right. Let's see. It worked in our test, so that was really great. And let's see if we can get it a little bit bigger. There we go. That's what I wanted. And we're going to change this overlay. All right, today's real estate market and all the fun things we get to deal with. And the first thing we're going to start off with is just the elephant in the room. With increased rates going up, will that mean that we're going to see pricing come down? So the only way really to look at this is let's go back. We have to know our history. At the end of the day, we have to know our history. If we don't, then we're doomed to repeat it, right? So I hear these people, I see these folks on YouTube saying the sky is falling, all this is going, but they don't give any historical data. It's just their point of view, their feeling. We want to kind of stay away from that. So the impact of mortgage rates on the housing market, how is it going to impact you? How is it going to impact the value of your house? These are the things we're going to be looking at. So mortgage rates rising the year. Freddie Mac average 30-year fixed rate as of January of 2022 till March 31st was 4.67%. That's a pretty dramatic increase from 3 to 4.67%, but actually it went higher than that. It went all the way up to 5.25. That's what we're seeing right now is 5.25, 5.5, depending on your credit rating, things of that nature. So, and remember, if you've got questions, feel free. the phone number below or put it in the comment section. And we see Sevi, I appreciate you joining us and leaving a comment. Now, mortgage rates, what they're talking about right now, and this is from Freddie Mac, Deputy Chief Economist for Freddie Mac. Mortgage rates are most likely going to continue to move higher throughout the balance of 2022. At this time, he had said, although the pace of rate increase is likely to moderate, much of the increase in rates in early 2022 is in anticipation of what will happen later this year, especially with the Federal Reserve interest rate policy. They have bumped that up a little bit. The Federal Reserve is now, hey, Pam, thanks for putting it on. The federal rate is now saying that it's likely to see more. So right now they have scheduled 5 increases in mortgage rates by the end of the year. One coming up next month. And according to a lot of folks, this could go up to about 7.5%. But does the impact of rising prices always mean that home pricing is going to decrease? Well, here again, we have to look at that historical data. Going back historically speaking, you can see that all the way back, we went back, to 1993. So almost 30 years. Now, back when we had this increase of 2.38%, home prices still increased by 3%. Let's pick out a couple of big ones here. In 98 to the year 2000, so 19 months, we had an increase of interest rates of 1.81%, and home prices still increased by 13%. The only time we really haven't seen this is when we had the big drop in 2005. And that went on longer than 13 months, but according to Freddie Mac. And then we did see home prices drop at 14%. That was a little different situation than we're in here. So we saw prices go up 2% here. We saw a drop of 2%. So it has happened, but on average, even in the worst of increase in interest rates, we've only seen an average of about 1%. Okay, impact of rising rates on housing. Changes when mortgage rates rise by more than 1%. Here again, looking at these dates, we had increases of 2.38% and houses still rose. Home sales went down a little bit by 11% because it became a little less affordable, but home prices still went up by 3% and the final rate was 9.2%. Hey, do me a favor. Put in the comments, I'm just curious, when you purchased your first home, what was the interest rate? For my wife and I, it was 7.75%. So put in the comments what you feel your first interest rate was. Okay. Impact of rising rates on housing. Changes when mortgage rates rise by more than 1%. Here we're just kind of continuing along. We can see here that this increased by 1.18%. Home prices still went up 7%, but an overall decrease in sales. So you see that prices were still rising up, but we had a 14% reduction in sales. And that can be what we're experiencing right now, is more of an inventory. So Sebi was above 7%, Pam 8.25%, Shannon 8.25%. Now, one of the fears I have in this whole thing is a lot of folks that have never purchased a home before, a lot of our millennial buyers have never known anything outside of 2.75%, 3%, 3.25%. So to them, this rise, if we hit back to that 7% area, which I think industry average for the last 50 years was right around 6.5% was the average mortgage rate. But I feel the millennial buyers could very well just get shocked by this. And if so, we could see them fall out. So while higher short term interest rates will push up mortgage rates, they expect the impact to be mitigated eventually through lower inflation. And that's really what it comes down to is they are increasing interest rates to try to offset this mortgage. Oh, I got to put up Shannon's. So Shannon, 8.25. That's amazing. But they're basically it comes down to they're trying to offset the inflationary rate we're experiencing by slowing down lending. With rates rising expected to rise through 2023, it makes sense to obtain a purchase or refinance mortgage if you can do that. Basically, what they're saying is and I've had some buyers here lately that said, hey, we're going to hold off to 2023. It might be a really big mistake. So going into next year, housing value has increased, appreciated. So houses are more expensive, but then the interest rate's more expensive too. This is really going to decrease people's buying power dramatically. Now, next week, we are going to be going over local market stuff and some other interesting things. But don't miss out tonight at 7 o'clock. We do have a home buying seminar on how to avoid costly mistakes. And it's a great seminar. We've had a lot of really good feedback from people that have attended. And you can just, if you want to register, if you know someone that wants to register, go ahead and go to the address below. And we hope to see you. We have a lot of fun and cover some good stuff. Now, what's going to happen in the spring housing market? And let me tell you what I've been seeing. According to Altos Research, we keep watching for it, but there are absolutely no signs of a market slowdown anywhere in the data. If anything, we're seeing the market continues to heat up. Locally, that is exactly what we are seeing also. We are still getting multiple offers. We're still seeing tons of, I don't know what it was doing there, but we're still seeing tons of multiple offers as long as the property is priced right. We have seen some markets go on and off the market and not sell, but these are the folks that say, you know what? My house is worth 200,000. How about we do this? We will list it at 300,000 and I'm sure someone will buy it. Well, no, they're not going to buy it. And basically you'll just be sitting on the market. So this is our overall buyer traffic index, and this is really quite cool. So the dark blue is showing where there's very, very strong buyer traffic. You can see Michigan is dark blue, and most of the states are, except for Utah, Idaho, North Dakota, Montana. No place is really weak except for up here in New Hampshire because, no one wants to live in New Hampshire. No, I'm just kidding. And this is the seller traffic. The light blue is showing very weak listings, where the dark blue is stable or the semi-dark blue is stable. There's nothing strong or very strong in the nation. You notice Michigan's just disappeared here, basically. And that's what it comes down to. We have a lack of inventory, high demand, and even as interest rates increase, we will see buyers shifting from a higher purchase point to a lower purchase point, but we're not going to see pricing drop. So all the folks that are out there waiting for that bubble, it does not look like it's going to happen. Now, on the positive side, in the first time in 6 months, I think in Michigan, we're closer to like 12 months, we're actually seeing active listings increase a little bit. And we're talking very, very slightly, just a slight bump up. But we're seeing that also in new listings. And I'm going to be going over here again locally this time next week. So tune in, it should be good. More industry insiders are throwing out their previous forecasts and replacing them with more of a bullish short term outlooks. Indeed, some experts say the 2022 spring housing market will go down in history. Not potentially, it will go down in history as one of the most competitive on record. Now, for those of you that are kind of confused on the bull bear scenario, the way in college, one of the, the $100,000 we paid for that, this is one of the things I learned, is bull's horns go up, bear snouts go down. So what they're saying in a bull market, it's going to continue to rise up. Pending home sales. This is, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but we're going to look at some numbers, and there's some more stuff that goes into this. Yes, historically speaking, we are actually at a healthy level for pending home sales, but some of the things that they're not talking about is in our area, our pending home sales has went way down just because there's not enough inventory on market. And here again, if you have a question, go ahead, throw it in the chat. I'd welcome it. Or if you would like to call in, feel free to call in. We'll put you live. Can't hurt. So historically, it's a healthy level. You can see the big dip here during the height of the pandemic. Over the last 6 Februarys, you can kind of see this consistency, but we are seeing that decline going into this year. It is definitely dipping down. We have also seen a little tick up in new houses coming in. But let's talk about this pending, and that a lot of people don't realize. What's going on, it's been started a few years back, but now we're really seeing it escalate, is something called institutional home buyers. So these are corporations that are purchasing houses for the sole intention to hold on to it for 14.5 million years and simply rent it. Last year, they were 18.7% of all home purchases nationally were to institutional buyers. And we're going to tip on that and talk about, will institutional home buyers ruin the American dream? We're going to talk about that more next week. It's really quite interesting and a little nerve-wracking. Let's see. Pam's asking, if I sell, where would I go for it to be financially smart? Well, when it comes down to selling your home, that's a great question, Pam. And where would you go where it financially makes sense? When you're looking to make a move, 2 things. One, is your lifestyle going to improve? So something to consider, not only where you're going to go, but what type of lifestyle you want. So maybe you're in that situation where you're looking to downsize. Your kids have grown up. They've moved out of the house. You have this 4-bedroom colonial, and it doesn't really make sense. You have rooms in your house you haven't even visited. This is the perfect time to be selling that home and downsizing. Makes a lot of sense. If you're at that point where you're retiring, you can visit my channel, timetodownsize.com, and on YouTube, Time to Downsize. And there are places around the world that are a lot less expensive to live with higher qualities of life. So it really comes down to your personal situation. I have clients right now that are in a very small home. They're moving to a bigger home. Financially, if you just look at the numbers on paper, it might not make sense. But if you're being overrun and you're always having to use the little ticket thing to get into the bathroom, it might make a lot of sense. So thanks for that question. That is a great question. But it's really a personal to personal. Last fall, this is according to the director of the S&P, DJI. Last fall, we observed the home prices, although continuing to rise quite sharply, had begun to decelerate. Not anymore. Even the modest deceleration was only a pause in January. The 19.2% year over year change for January was the fourth largest reading in 35 years of history. Historically speaking, a good, healthy market sees around a 6% increase in home appreciation. We're seeing this crazy increase, which is, hey, great. Matter of fact, if you're curious, if you're thinking about selling, you're curious what your home value is, give us a call. We're happy to look at it. And I'm going to remind you again on this home buying seminar we have tonight, because here again, if it makes sense for you, you should attend. All right. Local real estate. Next week, we're going to be covering local real estate, but overall, our market is very competitive, very doable, but we're going to have to look at some changes, and you're going to be shocked at where it's the most competitive and where it's actually loosened up a little bit. We're talking about which price ranges. So try to check it out next week. Here again, we have more new listings than active listings coming on the market. This is fantastic. This is showing a little bit of an upswing. This is going to help ease that competitive situation. So instead of getting 22 offers, we might only get 7. I don't think it's going to get it down where we get back to the time where you go, I like that house. Let me throw a lowball offer in and think about it for 3 days. We're not there yet. Single family housing units completed. So this is new construction, and this is something a lot of folks don't realize. Right here, you see this average annual units completed. So for the last 14 years, we've been below a normal new home construction period. So that's all the way back in 2010. Now, what happened in 2010? More like 2008, 2010. Well, we had that huge housing bubble. A lot of new construction builders got stuck. All of a sudden, they were selling way below what it cost to build the place, or they were simply walking away. So we've seen a huge hesitation, but they're now ramped back up. And we're finally going into this year where it's actually going to be where it should be. This is something that people have to think about. Right now, that money you have sitting in your bank is worth less now than it was January 1st. The way things are looking, it'll be worth less a few months down the road. So a lot of people are, and this is one of the reasons you get these huge institutional buyers, and we're talking huge companies. Companies are so big you haven't even heard of them. Companies that own AT&T, BlackRock is one of them, and we'll go more in depth in that next week. But with your money sitting in a bank, home price appreciation versus consumer price increases over the decades. So the inflation rate 2021, 6.8%. But look at that number on home value appreciation, 18%. So if you had parked that money in a rental property, a short-term rental or large, then you would have been fine. No worries. Potential growth in household wealth over the next 5 years based solely on increased home equity. So if you purchased a $360,000 home, January of this year, and this is really something to think about, that home value is estimated by 2027 to be over $450,000. And if this is your primary home, this means to you that you're going to have $100,000 of tax-free money if you were to sell. $100,000. So how much would you have to make to get that same $100,000? It's crazy to think about. And this is doing absolutely nothing. But this is the projected growth. So it's something definitely to consider. Those secondary homes in areas and doing rentals, not a bad idea, even short-term rentals. Home price forecast for 2022. And you can see down below here that we have everything from CoreLogic, Fannie Mae, the Mortgage Broker Association, National Association of Realtors, and Freddie Mac. All of them are saying that home values are going to go up. Home pricing is going to go up regardless, and their estimates range anywhere from 3% to 9.6%. Last year when I did this, we saw similar numbers, and they went up 18%. Well over the expectations of all of these experts. So the average forecast is 6.7%. Here again, oh, thanks, Savvy. Yeah, definitely hit that notification icon if you want to hear more about what's going on locally. Like I said, next week we're going to be looking at some local numbers, but I really want to focus on that institutional buyers. Where are they coming from? What are they doing? And will it negatively impact homeownership in America? Something to keep in mind, and we already talked about the free seminar, but something to keep in mind about that is the number one way for people to gain wealth in this country is through real estate. That's simple. And we're talking generational wealth. Matter of fact, I saw a quote today. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And it was really, really interesting. I found it at like 4:38 this morning, and I copied it and sent it to myself. Yep, right here it is. The U.S. has the highest individual wealth, yet ranks 14th in financial literacy. So U.S. citizens have the highest personal wealth out of any country in the nation. And I believe that is primarily due to being able to own a home. There's a lot of countries you cannot own a home. You can own the physical building and you're renting the land, or you're buying it and it's really a lease back from the government. All kinds of things going on. But home ownership is so very important, not only to you as an individual and having a place to live, because I mean, hey, if you want to see what rental rates are going for, join us on our home web or in our home buying webinar tonight. Let me put that up again on the ticker on the bottom. Just go ahead on there and register. We have a great time. We cover all kinds of information, but I am passionate about why people need to own a home. And I just see this big move going from home ownership to being professional renters. The difference in net worth between a renter and a homeowner is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars overall. Here again, I cover those numbers tonight. Don't miss it. Stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us anytime. And let me give you that number, or simply reach out to rich@richsparks.com. It's a serious thing. It really is. Home ownership, to give you a scenario, and the way it was explained to me 20 years ago by a fellow named Mr. Green, who was a very smart man. He said, Imagine like in Mexico where they don't have home ownership like us, and you get Jose who has a taco cart, and his taco cart becomes very, very popular. But he cannot leverage personal property of a home to buy another cart. And if he could start another cart and he could hire Juan or Mike or Miguel, and not only growing his company by leveraging his property, his house, but giving another job and so on and so forth. So small business doesn't have that opportunity to grow. So that personal ability of buying a house is what ranks us highest in personal wealth out of any country in the nation. Hey, my name's Rich Sparks. I truly thank you for watching. I hope that you turn in next week. This was our first one. I hope you had a little bit of fun. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us at 248-214-4105 or shoot us an email at rich@richsparks.com. Pretty easy. And for you taking your time, this is for you from me. Hats off to you. And I appreciate the thumbs up. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Oh, wait a minute. There's one more comment, though. Let's see what it is. Well, thank you, Pam. She had to say that, though, since it's my wife. But if you're wondering what it's going to be in the Metro Detroit home market, tune in next week. And we'll see you later.